So some interesting economic statistics came out recently in the past month or two that I wanted to talk about, kind of confirming um, a trend that's been happening the last 10 years regarding the retail apocalypse. The retail industry, which was booming in the 80s and 90s with malls and shopping centers, has come into a crashing halt, and 2020 is going to be the final nail in the coffin, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Um, so in April, we had a 16.4% drop in U.S. retail sales, and that look at this. I mean, it's the largest decline since this data series began in '92. So you can see this goes back to '92, and no decline like that has ever really occurred before. And a lot of it has to do with people are spending more on food instead of other things, as well as massive layoffs, leaving millions of Americans out of work. Discretionary spending, which is most of our economy, is just being obliterated. Um, even many Americans are putting big purchases like cars on the back burner. Um, Many of these retailers are being forced to file bankruptcy. J.C. Penney, Neiman Marcus, J. Crew, big names that have been around for decades filing for bankruptcy. Largely, you know, and Amazon is benefiting. Um, they're pretty much any of the economic activity that's still in existence is in terms of retail is going to be Amazon. I mean, people don't are avoiding going out if they can, and whether it was um, the crises earlier in the year or if it's now the protests, which give another reason for people to stay home. Um, people are not going to want to go out and shop, like even more so. And 2020 is going to be the nail in the coffin, and retail was already hurting ever since the 2008 crisis, which, there's a Wikipedia page that talks about the retail apocalypse, and it talks about the closing brick and mortar stores, especially those are the large chains starting around 2010 and onward. 2019 was a really, really bad year. A 59% drop from 2018. The highest since they were tracking it, the highest drop since they were tracking it. Um, so, and a lot of this is delayed effects of the Great Recession, which we're still experiencing because our officials' response to the Great Recession was so horrible that we're still experiencing negative effects. Um, a rise in e-commerce. Juggernaut companies such as Amazon and Walmart are benefiting. Walmart's done a phenomenal job of adjusting to the online trend. Many of the other companies have not. Um, so, there's a lot of factors. So a lot of people are choosing, when they do choose to spend money, they're choosing experiences over stuff. So people in prior generations fell for materialism more, and now I don't really think experiences are better or worse than stuff. I mean, stuff you can resell potentially. I don't know about experiences, but to each their own. It's just a trend. Um, a shrinking middle class. People have less discretionary income to begin with, and of course, the pandemic was just the nail in the coffin with and then following that with the riots, or not, the protests slash riots. I mean, the fact that the protests turn into riots sometimes creates huge economic consequences because it affects confidence, which is huge in the economy. Um, so you can see bankruptcy filings. Sears, Borders, if anyone remembers them. Payless Shoes, Toys R Us, J.C. Penney, even Barney's, Neiman Marcus. So, and as a result of the retail apocalypse, you're going to have, and other things, you're going to have a commercial real estate crash that follows. See, as if malls and these big retailers aren't going to be renting out these complexes, no one is. And so the landowners of commercial real estate and malls are going to get obliterated. Um, and let's see here. So, I mean, a lot of these tenants are just not going to pay rent. Um, so, I mean, the landlords have a lot of debt, and they're not going to be able to get any tenants. They were already hurting as it was, and I expect a residential real estate crash, but their commercial is going to be even bigger. So another trend I wanted to talk about was, um, people are going to be working from home. More and more people are going to be working from home, and you know, it's still going to be remains to be seen how productive people are working from home. But I believe that trend will continue. The big companies like Twitter, Facebook, Google, they're already announcing that like their employees can work from home until the end of the year if they want, and it might even be permanent. And this is going to affect this is going to affect a macroeconomic trend of what people buy in terms of clothing. The office wear of the past is not, this is going to be a lot. People are going to be a lot less formal. People are going to be dressing like this. Um, I mean, you'll see people like that. People are just going to be dressing more casually, and that's something to be aware of for. That's a trend to be aware of for the future, because you don't need to. I mean, people were already dressing more casually, but that's just going to accelerate. And so, and something else I wanted to bring up. That's about it in terms of the retail apocalypse. But something else I wanted to bring up was in terms of macroeconomics, in terms of a dismal outlook for the economy. They have created a perfect storm with this 8-step process that this article talks about. They've instilled fear, lock people in their homes, drive tens of millions of people out of work, remove pressure valves. Now, this is something I don't see many people talking about that I have been thinking about recently. This is really important. That, never before have they just completely taken away people's outlets of sports, concerts, bars, theaters, even lunch with friends. They've even closed the churches, which is unprecedented. Um, Dehumanized through masking the healthy, wait, strike a match. So, and that match was, the death of George Floyd. So, um, and the fire was lit. Um, this could get really bad. So, this is the last thing that retail and commercial real estate needed. People, for a lot of reasons, aren't going to be going out and buying like they used to. Alright, so that's about it. 16.4% drop from the previous month. Retail sales, unheard of.